Boris Johnson announces he will focus on data, not dates, an approach that has been used by Star Trek fans for decades. The Australian government have stood up to a billionaire news provider who's too powerful, pays no tax and bullies governments, which helps out an Australian billionaire news provider who's too powerful, pays no tax and bullies governments. And reports suggest that subscribing to the Scoop Magic YouTube channel will make you happier, richer and more attractive. But first tonight, bees are disappearing and the consequences could be disastrous. The British government have recently reinstated their ban on bee-killing pesticides, which is good news for bees, but their populations are still in rapid decline. And if this continues, it could be disastrous for our buzzing little buddies. In fact, they could disappear forever. But why should you care about that? Well, bees are essential pollinators, so without bees, crops would also disappear. And without crops to feed our livestock and ourselves, the future will be pretty bleak for future generations like little Timmy here. In you go, Timmy, into the bag. Ah! I don't like it in the bag. Oh my god, the future without bees looks pretty bleak, but in the bag you go, Timmy. So, as you can see, without bees, there would be no crops, no food, no life, and no future. The Labour Party have suffered extremely disappointing local election results. As the votes were counted, it seems that the general public have sent a clear message to Labour Party leader Keir Starmer. It seems they either don't like what he stands for or they don't even know what he stands for. And if every vote is a hope for change, it seems that those hopes have gone up in smoke. Whoa. And as for Labour's future under Keir Starmer, well, that doesn't look good at all. Let's face it, the Daily Express is obsessed with the royal family. The Star is obsessed with what's on telly and boobs. The Sun, the Sun will tap your phone and slander Hillsborough victims, so don't buy the Sun. The Daily Fail is a hate-filled chronicle of everything that causes and cures cancer. And worst of all, the Mirror gave us Piers Morgan. Unforgivable. And the broadsheets are hardly any better. They're all owned by big companies who would be reluctant to publish anything that would harm their business interests. Don't forget, it was the press that gave vast publicity to the idea that the MMR jab caused autism, despite the fact that this was based on the opinion of one doctor who had done one small study, and every other expert in the world was shouting quite loudly that his findings were invalid nonsense, but they were ignored in favour of scare stories, emotional stories that sell newspapers. And now we're in a situation where measles, which can be deadly, is on the rise again in Britain. Which leads us to our pandemic predicament, where we really need anybody who can get vaccinated to get vaccinated. But thanks to well-placed mistrust in the mainstream media, as well as suspicion over officials which has been fostered by the media, we are now in a position where people are reluctant to get the jab, which will get us out of this mess. So please, next time you're in the newsagent, just get the Beano instead. It's really, really good. It's got Banana Man, Dennis the Menace, Roger the Dodger. Enjoy. Freedom Day is almost upon us. June the 21st is nearly here, and we'll be able to say goodbye to face masks and face coverings. Just a couple more days and they'll be gone forever. What's that? 4 more weeks? You taking the piss? Sorry, news just in. We now have to wait until 19th of July until Freedom Day, which means masks and face coverings are here for a little bit longer yet. Britain is a country that has always had divisions and rivalries. I mean, there's the North-South divide. There's, I don't know, Lancastrians versus Yorkshire folk. And of course there's obviously England, Wales, Scotland and even Northern Ireland, although I know that's not technically Britain. In fact, you can't go for more than an hour up the road without finding a completely different accent and a belief that the sports team just up the road are the worst people in the world. I'm looking at you, St. Helens. But despite this, when it comes to the crunch, Britain has always stood united. But at the moment, it feels like our divisions are getting the best of us. And the country is tearing itself apart. There's still residual Brexit bickering going on between Leave and Remain. Scotland's First Minister is pushing for another independence referendum. And of course now there's COVID deniers, anti-maskers, and those people who just want to obey the rules and get back to normal. But if we can remember that our opponents are not necessarily our enemies. If we remember that there's much more that unites us than divides us. And if we remember, most importantly really, just to be more kind, then this kingdom can be united again. And when that happens, there is nothing that this damp little island can't achieve. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments, and please don't forget to subscribe, like and share.